我可以说这是很简单，就是我看得很清楚那个机会，但是现在，这个是很重要的。我告诉每一个中国人了，就是如果没有中国，没有我，所以我看现在，对，我是白人，我是美国人，但是我感觉上海，不是中国，但是上海是现在的老家。So what I mean by that is originally there was the opportunity. I saw the opportunity. I could not resist it when I got here. Just it fit with me perfectly. But very quickly, what I realized was over time, without China, there's no me. 如果没有中国，没有我. And it's an appreciation, it's humility that the success, the people that I've met, all of it, because I've been in China. And finally, what I had said was, there's a concept of lao jia, meaning your family home where you grew up. And I no longer view where I grew up as my home. I now view Shanghai, not necessarily China, but Shanghai, as being my home.
What are the biggest misconceptions that you see that Americans have about China?
First and foremost, and let me just speak to the American audience. The biggest misconception is that China is the enemy. China is, in some way, shape, or form, working aggressively through this monolithic communist party to dethrone the United States as the leader of the free world and the rules based international order. Not true. China has no ambition to replace the United States on the global stage. Now, what are China's ambitions? Just as a quick aside, they are, in my opinion, looking for a sphere of influence, meaning they'd like to just be sort of, the leader of Asia Pacific, if you will. And even to the American policymakers, that is not acceptable. So you take a very, what I consider to be understandable position by the Chinese in Beijing, the policymakers of, hey, look, we're the big dog in Asia. We're the leader in Asia. We want to be the leader in Asia. If you want to be the leader in Europe and a leader in North, South America, that's fine. But the best way that I have seen that what I call the Beltway consensus, meaning the people that influence decision makers in Washington, D.C., is to just paint with a broad brush and call China the enemy. And this has permeated all discussions across America. And, you'll see things like, oh, it's unsafe to come to China. Nonsense. There are what I refer to as rules of engagement if you live in China. And those rules of engagement are different than what it is to live and work and what have you in the United States. There is a tendency of taking an American lens of things and then overlaying that and saying, if this is how we do things, then this is the way the rest of the world needs to do things.
Can you give an
Personally,
example for the rules of engagement?
so the rules of engagement is I'm sitting here in Shanghai, as I mentioned, right? And I'm going to talk to you, let's say, about Taiwan or Xinjiang or what's going on with Xi Jinping. And there's nobody busting down my door to throw me in the back of a
Yet,
van.
yet.
No. Well, let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. I've had these conversations for years, and nobody has essentially come and not even talk to me about it. Now, I'll give you a classic example because there are, and I will not name names, there are numerous individuals who are out there today who at one point in time lived in China. They had run businesses, they had a certain brand in China, and they ended up running afoul with the authorities, some of whom even were thrown into jail. And now, if you see them on social media or elsewhere, they are talking about, the evils of the Communist Party and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So let me give you a very specific rule of engagement for China. It's called the three knock theory. And what that means is within the foreign community, and this is what I'm referring to, it's not necessarily broadly China, but the foreign community. If I'm doing something at work and I've decided to, I don't know, try something, or maybe there's been a change in government here, whatever the case might be. If I'm doing something that is no longer viewed as being a reasonable activity any longer, somewhere in my circle of Chinese friends, I'm going to get pulled aside and say, things have changed. Maybe it's not a good idea if you do this. It'll be pretty subtle, maybe too subtle. And what has happened is certain individuals have said, I know what I'm doing. I have all these friends in China. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Fast forward maybe another couple weeks or a month, you get the second knock. someone sits you down and says, look, things have changed, or what you're doing is no longer acceptable, you really need to stop. And I know of numerous occasions where these individuals, again, through pure hubris, said, "No, I've got these people, and they tell me everything's fine. I don't have to do. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing." The third knock is the bad knock. That's when your door gets kicked in, the police come in, you get dragged out, you get put in a van, you get put into jail, you get put on a show trial. It happens. But I can tell you, anybody who is out there who has been in serious trouble with the Chinese authorities, if there's smoke, there's fire. There are no innocent bystanders. No one has been taken away or any of those sorts of things because they were innocent. I have no idea what's going on. So that's just one very specific rule of engagement. I think there's a lot of subtlety. I can give you a classic example for my company. There was a new service I wanted to put into place. We were going to do some like reviews of financial companies here in China. And I went to the regulator and, a very informal meeting. I wasn't specifically looking to be told, is this sort of new business acceptable? I just told them what I was thinking of doing. And, good conversation. At the end, they turned to me in Chinese and they're like, 我感觉这个机会蛮好的，但是肯定太早了. Which is, look, I think this opportunity is a really good opportunity, but maybe it's a little early right now. I'm like, okay, that's a no. So, when you're able to sort of, try to push certain envelopes, you'll know if you're open and having an understanding of what, again, these rules of engagement are, you're going to be fine. If you are, and this is what my business is, if you are a global institution that's looking to come to China and say, look, Peter, we do this in Frankfurt, in Tokyo, in Hong Kong. This is how we do business, and this is what we're going to do here in China. And I tell them all the time, I'm like, I understand, but if your decision is to take your business model globally and replicate it one for one in China, you will most likely fail. Not because China's done anything, but because you've not been able to adapt to these local rules of engagement. And I see it all the time. And, it's a bit frustrating for me, a little exasperating, because there's enough case study right now to demonstrate how to succeed in China that anybody that comes in and fails, well, I'm sorry, that's on you.